Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be informing you on the different diseases that affect crayfish. As you know, crayfish farming is a profitable business, but if you don't know the technicalities on how to breed them, it becomes a problem. Now, there are common diseases that affect crayfish, and we have done a lot of research to know these diseases and how you can prevent these diseases not to affect your farm, because when diseases enter into your farm, one, there will be mortality in your farm. So I've took my time to do some analysis to diagnose the diseases that have caused the disease affecting factors, to make sure that this disease does not continue in your farm. So welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, do it to subscribe, and let's go. Bacterial disease. Bacterial shell disease caused by bacteria like Aeromonas or Pseudomonas, leading to the shell lesion or mortality. Now, what this bacteria does is that this bacteria can make the shell. The bacterial shell disease, what it does is that it make the crayfish to be wounded. It make wounds to be on top of the body of the crayfish. You understand? So these viruses eat the crayfish and make them to bleed, to wound, and from there they will be contaminated, and if can, before you see, there will be mortality. So you must make sure that in your farm you take care of your farm very well, so that this bacterial shell disease will not attack your crayfish. Another important one that we're going to be discussing that affects your crayfish is Septicemia bacterial infection. This infection affects the crayfish bloodline. You understand? It affects the crayfish bloodline, that can make them to lose appetite. It can make them not to be eaten. So this disease, what it does is that it affects the blood of the crayfish. You understand? So once the bloodstream is affected, the crayfish will not be eaten. And once they are no longer eating, there will be mortality. You understand? There will be mortality. That is the thing. That's why you need to take care of your farm. Take good care of your farm very well. Then another one is viral diseases. Now, this viral disease is one of the most harmful diseases to your crayfish. You understand? Now, what does this viral disease do? There's one we call white spot scrodrum virus. Now, what does this virus do? This virus affects the belly of the crayfish. You understand? Another one is what we call parasitic disease. Now, this parasitic disease, what it does that it affects the shell of the crayfish. That's why most times once you look at your crayfish shell, like let me show you something. Like these are our newly hatched crayfishes. If you don't take care of them well, once you check their shell, you begin to see that their shell is becoming yellowish in color. Once they are becoming yellowish in color, you know that this parasitic disease has affected your farm. You understand? Has affected your farm, and this disease will make them to be stressed, them. They're not like human being. Just like when something is biting you, understand, you'll be stressed up. The crayfish will not be eating, and before you see, they'll be reducing in size. Before you see, there'll be mortality. You get? And then another one is there's what we call a worm, a particular worm that can also affect your farm. The name of the worm is called anchor worm. Parasitic worm affecting the crayfish gills, shell, causing stress and mortality. What this anchor worm does is that it affects the crayfish gills. Crayfish taking oxygen with their gills. So once, if anything affects their gills, it can make them not to be able to breathe. So this anchor worm, it fight against their breathing, their gills. You understand? That is the work of this anchor worm. Now we are going to be discussing the factors that contribute to this disease outbreak in your farm. What are the things that usually make this disease to affect your farm? These are the things that we're going to be discussing now. Now, number one factor that make these diseases I've mentioned earlier to affect your farm is one, poor water quality. When the water quality in your farm is poor, you'll be prone to experience this type of diseases outbreak in your farm. You understand? So you must make sure that there is adequate water quality. The water quality in your farm must be in a balance, and the ammonia level in the farm should be low. It will not be too high. If the ammonia level is low in the water, it will come about mortality, and these diseases can infect your crayfish. You understand? Then also low oxygen.
When the oxygen level in your farm is very low, it will come about these diseases that will affect the farm. So you must make sure that the oxygen in your farm level is not low. That's why we have oxygen machines that you can buy. If you feel like buying from us, you can contact us. This oxygen machine will help to improve the oxygen in the farm. Unlike when crayfish are in the water, let's say in the river or sea, you know that the sea is always moving, and as the sea is moving, oxygen is penetrating inside the water, which the crayfish can take in. But when you are farming them, your water is not moving. If let's say you are using pond, the pond is not moving, and as it's not moving, oxygen cannot penetrate into your farm, and that is why it comes about the mortality. They'll be struggling for oxygen. That is what causes this mortality in your farm. Another one is overcrowding. Overcrowding is a big factor. When they are too clustered, when the crayfish are too clustered in a place, because they have what we call stocking density in your farm. There's what we call stocking density. You must make sure that you follow the right procedures in your stocking. Don't have long throats that say you want to do plenty. You go and put plenty crayfish in one place. No, there's what we call stocking density. So you must make sure that when you are stocking them, there should be space. There should be place for them to hide. You understand? There should be place for them to hide. There should be place for them to calm themselves. You get? So that they will not be stressed up. If you stock them too much in a particular place, it will come about disease outbreak. And once when the disease comes to the farm, it can be transmitted from one crayfish. It can be transmitted to another crayfish. For example, now if one crayfish contact disease and you don't remove it, that particular crayfish can infect the remaining crayfish in your ponds. That's why you need to be very careful in everything you are doing. You must make sure that the water quality is very good. You don't overstock. You understand? You don't overstock. You don't overstock. Once they have hatched out, what you have to do is to take them to your pond. For those that want to learn stocking density, you can contact me. I will teach you the right stocking density, how many crayfish supposed to be in a particular space. You understand? That is another one. Then another one is inadequate nutrition. Now, inadequate nutrition has to do with when you are not feeding them very well. You understand? Like human being, you need to give them enough food for them to eat. When you are not feeding them, when they don't have access to enough food for them to grow, or let's say hunger will kill them. So you must understand the right way to feed them, the right thing to feed them, the right time that you need to feed them for them to give you the best. You don't feed them over and you don't feed them less. You understand? That's why in everything you are doing, you need to be calculative. That's why you need to come for the training for you to be accurate. You need to undergo our training for you to know the right time to feed them, the right food to give them. You understand? So that there will be no mortality in your farm. You understand? You don't stress them. Don't overstress them. Stress also can bring about mortality in your farm. Don't overstress your crayfish.